All right, and welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Gamers Grind podcast. How's everybody doing today? Welcome, welcome. We got Dr. Black Guy Gamer and Lord Master in the chat. How are y'all doing?
Welcome back to Three Black Men Talk About Pink Puffball.
You better shut up. I don't like you.
So, funny thing is, guys, we were recording. We did try to record this episode at an earlier date. We were recording the episode. We got like 30 minutes in, 40 minutes in, just shooting the shit, and out of nowhere,
I ate it. I ate the footage. I got hungry. AJ went to go get water, and I ate it. I ate the footage. It's all good. I ate it. It's my fault.
Dr. Black Guy Gamer ate the footage.
It was like the Teletubby vacuum, where he just, he slurped up the Tubby custard.
Why don't you?
I hate that. I hate that.
That's what it sounds like.
You didn't make me no from the fucking Teletubbies. What? I think so.
Anyway.
Yeah, I ate it. Yep. One bite.
And shout out to Black Guy Gamer, but for real, it was on me. Thing was not recording properly, so we decided we're gonna record this at a later date. So today, everybody, we are doing the Kirby episode. That's right. All three of us, Lord Master, Dr. Black Guy Gamer, and me, Choco Taco, we all played Kirby and the Forgotten Land. We all played it through its entirety, main story, and post-game content. And finally, we are all here to come together and talk about it today.
I'm sorry. It's just funny. I saw him shove something in his mouth. It was really distracting.
Leave me alone.
No, that game is great. I guess from your perspective, since you're not like super experienced with Kirby, how did you feel about it?
All right. So my little bit of experience with Kirby is Kirby Street Squad and Kirby Superstar Ultra, for both of the DS Lite, and I love those games. Those games were really fun, very quick to play games. But they weren't anything like, they weren't games that were. They were fun games, and I enjoyed my time with them, but they weren't like, I wouldn't say, I don't think it's not that they weren't memorable, but they weren't like, they didn't leave like that lasting impact of like some of the other games I played before. Kirby and Forgotten Land, I was excited from the first initial reveal. I'm just like, a Kirby game, that's nice. I don't think I would never have a problem with the Kirby game. I know they're kind of consistent, consistent in quality all around. So I'm just like, I'm probably gonna like this. I went ahead and streamed this game for my chat, and wow. I gotta admit, I was blown away by what I thought this game was going to be. This was the first game Kirby got like jumped into 3D like this, but the amount you can do in that game is a lot. You can search for all the Waddle Dees. You can go for all the little side objectives. You can explore the level and find the little side rooms to find maybe a blueprint or another one, like a capsule to collect one of the action figures. There was so much that you could do in that game, and I loved every moment of it. The overall vibe of the game itself, Kirby games are usually a very happy-go-lucky like vibe with like a dark story hitting deep in the lore, and I loved the vibe of the game all around. I enjoyed the story a lot too, and just I could keep gushing over this game, but yeah, this game was fucking great.
I agree. I do think that there are a lot of people that would fight you over the Superstar Ultra wasn't as memorable statement, because I feel like that's probably one of the most beloved Kirby games. But Yeah, I can agree wholeheartedly with everything you said about Forgotten Land. I didn't really know what to expect because I've been with the series since this game right here, Kirby 64. This was my first
Ooh.
Kirby game, and this should have been, I guess, the first 3D Kirby game, but it wasn't. And so, really, when they said that this was going to be a 3D game and they showed it, I still didn't really know what to expect or like how the setup would be. Like, was it going to be a more open game, like I don't know, like Mario 64, or was it going to be something where it was just level to level? Like, there was no telling what it was going to be. And I'm really happy that they did a level to level type game because I think that it was still really strong. I mean, I know a lot of people compare it to 3D World, but I don't really get that impression. I kind of think it like came into its own and it has a lot more. I want to say personality. Not that 3D World didn't, but I think that Kirby just as a franchise has a lot of personality, either in its characters or even in its level design and locations and everything. It's just kind of bursting with it, and I think that's what sets it apart from other platformers really. So yeah, I'm really happy with how the game turned out.
I'm like glad that you brought up 3D World as a comparison because like with 3D World I also played that game, and with 3D World it feel like there's a lot of nice and open areas, but you're mostly in it just like, hey, what gimmick is this one area gonna have? What gimmick is this one area gonna have that you can play with your friends and kind of get through? But Kirby, it feels like each of the levels had some kind of memorable moment or something that I can like, oh, I enjoyed this level not just because of the gimmick. I enjoyed it because like the environment is cool. I love the carnival where you're going around and you're dodging the roller coaster. You're dodging like the little I don't know what's called the parade, the coasters, but you're dodging that. Or I can remember when you go into the Beastman village for the first time, and it's a fiery pit. It's a fiery pit, and you're like everything is exploding and stuff. Like that in itself. Like there's so many memorable moments in each of the stages like that.
Oh no!
Oh no!
What happened?
Oh no! No!
What happened?
Oh,
You happened. You froze for a second.
Oh, I froze for a second.
Yeah.
Are we back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Okay. I got scared. Today. But what I was saying, like, yeah, there was just so many memorable moments in general, just like with each and every stage. And I feel like Mario 3D World, it's not saying that game is bad in any right. I just think that like it hits a very different note than what Kirby was hitting.
I think 3D World, or at least for comparison's sake, I think Kirby still has a quote unquote gimmick for every stage. Like every stage is different and has something new to offer. Same thing with 3D World, but I think that Kirby has more memorable set pieces, whereas it'll have like, I think overall Kirby just has more varied environments than 3D World does. Like every level looks different and doesn't really play the same. It's like you're literally going through the world, whereas Mario, especially 3D World, a lot of the stuff just doesn't make sense. Like, I think one of the levels in the desert world is literally just like a grassland, and it doesn't really make very much sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't take away from it in any sort of way. It just feels like, Mario levels and Kirby levels are very, very different, and I feel like Mario levels are a little easier to forget, and that's not a bad thing. Not unless you played the Mario game a billion times. Like if you're someone like me, where I think I've been 3D World like 8 times, which is really dumb. But I just think they're kind of different in that sort of way. So I don't really think they can be compared. But I don't know. Just like surface level, I guess.
I mean, most definitely. I think you also got to keep in mind that, like, and I don't want to take too long on this topic, but like, you got to keep in mind, like, 3D World is designed to be played like as a 4-player game, but Kirby is a single player adventure. So I think the attention to detail, and like the
it's 2-player.
Huh? Oh,
Forgotten Land has 2-player.
Forgotten Land is 2-player, but like the whole thing is that like I feel like the focus on the 3D world is more like having fun with your friends, while the focus on like Forgotten Land is, you're going through a Kirby adventure at the end of the day. You're still going through a Kirby adventure, and they really want to focus on like, the environments in general or like the story and stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm using the wrong kinds of words. Um, but Black Eye Gamer, talk to me, Kendall. What do you think of this game?
I was actually kind of skeptical at first because the last Kirby game was extremely, very, very lackluster. In my opinion, it was very mediocre. Star Allies was a very mediocre entry into the series. Mediocre as in gameplay wise. When it comes to the lore, characters, placement, and like basically guest star allies probably being the best feature of the game period. And also like the challenges for the games was pretty fair as well. And the lore dump that was on for that game, phenomenal. But the gameplay was very lackluster. So I felt that like Nintendo was just like, all right, okay, man, we want to put Kirby in a 3D environment, just to like to finally ease the masses to make them think that yeah, Kirby's a really good franchise. It's always been like put with care, like if you really think about it, between like how they celebrate Kirby's anniversaries in the past before now, and so like 3D and so like Return to Dreamland, sorry, Forgotten Land is such an amazing game, and I love it to death. And it's a pace breaker. It's something that's been tossed around as a concept for Kirby to be in 3D environment for a very long time. And so when people are just like saying like, oh, comparing it to 3D world, it's like I get where you're coming from, but the set pieces in general for all the stages, like you said, all the stage set pieces in general, every stage has a purpose. Like there's a level in the water area, right, where you're traveling through a water area, beach, into a factory outside that's overcome by the water, and you have the opportunity to take the ice power up. You can swim around in your floaties and get everything like in the water, and be watch out for all the danger in the water, like the big chompers and the big giant chomper alligators or whatever is that's lurking in the water in general, or like the seismic pools that can suck you in, or you can get the frost power up and like ice skate over the water. It's pretty cool. I like that. I like that level a lot. There's a lot of cool level set pieces. The bridge level is amazing. I think the entire winter level is a really big, huge treat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that like the game in general doesn't really skip a beat in what you're supposed to be doing. Mouthful mode is a fantastic iteration to the game. Kirby games usually do put a gimmick towards their games, and it's normal too. It's just like it's a normal thing. It's just like alongside with the copy abilities, here comes a gimmick that will actually they'll serve as a power up or a means of transportation or etc. for anything else. And Mouthful World doesn't feel like it overextends its time as a quote unquote gimmick for the game, because it can be used as a force of transportation, used as a power up, activating your thick by spitting out water, shooting out juice cans by breaking a certain type of blocks to get more treasures. And the factoid of the matter is that this is like there's nooks and crannies in this game where like you're forced to, like you're not forced to, but if you're a completionist or you really like the game, the level design, there are plenty of like hints in what you're supposed to do in the game to get all these wallies and stuff like that. Like at the the mall, the first mall area in World 1, it'll show you that, hey, you need to take these routes to get through the mall without getting lost, quote unquote, to get that Waddle Dee. Or you can find a secret area in the mall where everyone's eating all this food and it looks pretty cute, and there's like a secret Waddle Dee in that room area as well. It's not just that level, but there's also other levels in general that teases you around and shows you that there are hidden secrets that you can do that are obvious, but you just have to put you have to use your brain to put the set pieces together. Like what's the whole shape for? It's Kirby shaped, but it's not big enough, so you gotta put a cone around his mouth or something like that for Mouthful mode to activate these certain puzzles and these for the certain areas and stuff like that. The bosses in the game is probably the best feature in my opinion. I think the bosses in this game is the best it's ever been in the franchise. Period. And it's a difficulty from being challenging to being like, if you have the Morpho sword, it's obviously broken. Come on. But if you're doing it for like the old school way with just like not using any power ups, I think it's the perfect mishmash of balance and challenge, especially in the latter level of the latter half of the bosses. All in all, I give a game like I saw 10 out of 10. Like it's a really good game. If you ain't played Kirby the Fairy Land, what are you doing? Buy it.
I like what you said about
Definitely.
the level design too, because I think that's a bulk of what makes this game so fun, is the secrets. Because that's, I mean, not saying it devalues it in any way if you're not 100%ing it, because of course you don't have to 100% it, but I think you get the most out of the game if you try to at least go for those Waddle Dees or for those side objectives for sure, because those levels are just crafted so well. Like even the ones that aren't as long, you're going to be spending a bit of time in there just trying to look for everything and just find wherever secret that there could be. And I had a lot of fun just looking around, like scouring every level for like everything that I could find. And
Hmm.
it's one of these games that has like sort of that old school mentality of just having secrets there just to be secrets,
Mhm.
but they're so cool that I don't care that I don't get anything like particularly interesting for finding them. Like
Yeah.
there's one there's one desert level where
I know
there's a
exactly what you're
hotel,
gonna talk about.
yeah, at the
Yeah.
very end of the level, and you can just go behind the goal and go into the hotel, and there's nothing in there but just like a bunch of money. But it's just so cool that you can do that in the first place. Or there's a snow level. It's like the battle at the bridge, and there's literally an objective where you have to find a maxim tomato. But then there's these little blocks sticking out that you can actually jump on, and then you can take a completely different route of the level that's like harder, and you have to fight like two of the bosses at the same time for each one. And it's just like
Wow.
I don't know, and you can still get all of the objectives find that path. So it's like if you found that by accident, you could still complete the level as normal. And it's just like there's no reason for them to do anything like that, but it's super cool that it's just something that's in the game, and it's something that not a lot of people found. Like I remember when people found that, it was just all over the internet that day, and it was like, wow, that many people just didn't find it. So like I think the secrets are definitely one of my favorite parts of the game for sure.
Definitely. It was definitely. You can tell that like the way they the way that they crafted each and every level, it was super intentional. The way that the camera works with Kirby, like you could tell that the way that it has like a we. It's not like top down. It's not top down, but it's like not 100, not like completely third person. But it's like it's in a weird perspective where it's like it's very easy to miss things in the game. It's very easy to miss the smallest little detail if you are not looking for it, and
Yeah.
that adds so much to the game. Kirby games in general. If let's say if you're not a completionist, you don't have to complete the game. But let's say you don't, you can speed through this game. You can speed through it pretty easily. But a lot of the time that I spent, and like all the time that I spent was me going through each and every level, saying I want to get every single Waddle Dee, playing the level what 2, 3 times even just to find this one Waddle Dee. There was this one level where it was find the secret passageway. It's like a boss rush. Find the secret passageway,
In
and
the
literally,
volcano.
yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're
yeah.
talking about.
And you're like, whoa, where's the secret passageway? And you go through the first, you go up to the stairs, you fight all these bosses. It tells you at the end, secret passage. Okay, you go through again, and you're kicking each and every little thing. You're like, what the heck? Where's this secret passage? And I go like 4 times in this one level, and I can't find it. And then sure enough, this time I'm like, you know what? I always go forward. I always just go forward and start the level. There's like this little small area right before, or where like the level starts, and then you go into the actual boss rush and stuff like that. And I decide, you know what? I'm gonna look at that first area to see if anything. And sure enough, there are like 2 torches lit up on the very very corner of the room, where like I could have easily saw that my first try. But I wasn't paying attention. I didn't see it. I didn't expect it to be there. And because of that, I didn't see it. So though like that was one of those, hey, they intentionally made it hard for you to see. Even though it's like in plain sight, they intentionally made it very hard for you to see it because of the way the camera is. And that I like, you have to explore if you want to complete this game. Um, the boss battles. You mentioned the boss battles, and I man, the boss battles were super fun. Each and every one of the boss battles were super fun. You know, it was fun playing with all the different power. It was fun playing with all the different power ups and trying to find different ways to beat these bosses. The inclusion of the now I don't know if they had the witch time thing before, but like when Kirby does like a perfect dodge, he gets like a slowdown effect, and that makes it so much more fun, at least to me, playing each and every one of these bosses. Because, you know, with all Kirby games, they usually have an arena and then like a true arena. And true arena, that's all the hard bosses. All the bosses are souped up. And you got to be willing to get all the way to the end and fight whatever secret bosses you haven't fought before and you don't expect to fight. And you have to make sure you do it without taking as little damage as possible. So, like, there's like a skill check going on where it's like, I need to be able to beat this boss without taking any damage. And using that dodge adds so much to it. And it makes it so much fun. Oh, man. I love the boss battles.
I like the dodge roll and the way it works. I think the dodge roll was in other Kirby games. Actually, the 2D... Like they didn't slow you down. It actually worked exactly like Smash Brothers, like to a T. Like, there is a perfect shield, so if you shield at the exact time, you won't take any damage. And then, of course, there's the shield, and then you also have, in the two 3DS ones, there's an air dodge, which is not in Forgotten Land. But you have the air dodge, but it's pretty slow. And then Star Allies had, like, a really long roll that you could do. The other games, you couldn't roll that far, but none of those slowed you down. The only thing I don't like about Forgotten Lands, like, the Witch Time portion is good, but I realized from watching so many people play that game that it was, like, the only option that they use. And it was just, like, I feel like it gets you killed a lot if you don't sort of, like, mix it up a little bit.
I agree. And Quante did watch a lot of my streams when I did play the game. And he did see where, like, just using the dodge roll definitely got me killed. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But it was one of those things where it's just, like, you know, I actually didn't know there was a dodge roll until like halfway into the game. I don't think it was like, you know, I played Kirby games in the past. That wasn't when they did the tutorial. They didn't really talk about the dodge roll. I knew you could guard, but I didn't know you could roll. And that's something I kind of like. Oh, I figured out at some point and started using more and more as like the game went on. So like it felt like there was some kind of like it felt, at least for me personally, it felt like there was some kind of like natural progression with using it. And then towards like the latter half of the game, I used it a lot more, but all of a sudden I'm getting killed for it. Or I'm taking more damage for it. So by the end of it all, when they see me fighting the last secret boss, I'm over there like not only dodging, but using the dodge of Witch Time, but I'm also like just not forcing it, you know? And it felt like there was like a really natural progression with how I got like better and better with the game. And that like that's a good feeling, you know? You don't want to make someone feel powerful early on to make him feel weak by the end of the game. No, you want to make it feel that you want to like, if you're going to like make somebody feel powerful, you want to like add some challenge, but make it feel rewarding to like, you know, grind and put that extra little bit of time into like improving on how you do it. And I'm wording this completely wrong.
I get you. I feel like that was also present with just the copy abilities in general, because there is some stuff like every Kirby game sort of has like a list, and you can look at the list and see like all the commands you can do and how the ability works. And this game just randomly does not have that. And at first, I didn't really like it because I was just like, well, I don't know what I can do. But then you just kind of learn what they can do from playing the game. And then once you figure it out, it's just like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I think one of the best ways they sort of demonstrate that is through the challenges that are scattered throughout the world map, because there's just little challenges that unlock for each ability, even for the upgrades. And then you really get a feel for how that power-up works. And then after that challenge, you're just an expert, essentially, especially if you're trying to get those target times. So then, you know, it's a very good flow. It teaches you how to play mainly through the gameplay instead of just making you watch a tutorial or reading or whatever, which I feel like I'm not going to say one way is better than the other one, but I guess one has the potential to feel more satisfying.
I think I like how you brought up the treasure roads. There was a very particular moment that I realized that this game was very good and how they did it was when I was doing the first tornado treasure road, where it's where the treasure roads they say if you get within a certain amount of time, you don't get any. But there's no actual reward other than like 50 money. 50 stars, 50 money. So like you're basically just doing the treasure. If you're getting the target times for the treasure roads, you're doing that because you want to. And I wanted to do it for a lot. I want to do that for all the treasure roads. So for this tornado for the tornado copy ability, it says get here within like 30 seconds. I'm just like, wow. I'm going through the whole area, but there's no way that I can make it to 30 seconds. And all of a sudden, something clicks. I'm just like, wait, because I'm in tornado, I float for a long. I'm in the air for a long time, so I can skip over portions of a level by going through it. And sure enough, over time, I'm just like, wait, I can do this. I just have to like be mindful of how I'm like going about it and moving around. Same thing with like, there's like those like a little bit of like natural progression and like that that epiphany I had of just like, oh, I can use the ability like this, and now this makes solving these puzzles makes so much more sense. That was such a good little addition to the game. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this game too fucking much. Jesus Christ.
I love it. It hit a nice balance of just like I don't even really know how to describe it. Like I wasn't expecting. Well, Kirby games are always good, like you said, but this definitely it had me like emotional at points because I was just like, why is this game as good as it is? And it hit me as early as the first level because in the demo, it doesn't have the part where it has the part where you knock down the bridge and then you drive across the bridge, but it didn't have the part where the music cuts on, and then Kirby hears the music and he starts dancing in his car.
Yes.
And then that made me feel something. I was just like, oh no. I was just like, this is just that's how I knew it was gonna be something special. I was just like, this is crazy. And then lo and behold, you just play the whole game. Like I think the bosses are my favorite part, not only of that game, but just like the Kirby series in general. Like I think Hyrule Laboratories makes some of my favorite bosses in like any games that I've ever played. Because they also do like Smash Brothers. So like all the bosses in like Ultimate and Brawl, like they did all those, and I think those are good bosses too.
Yeah.
And it's no different here. It's great. I think Star Allies, since Josh brought it up, uh, that's one of the stronger points of that game too, and it has a lot of bosses. So I was very happy, especially with the final boss, because that was something else. Like I don't know. I feel like with every Kirby game that comes out, I'm just like, wow, how are they gonna top this final boss? And then they somehow do it every single time, and I don't understand how. It seems like it should be an impossibility at this point. But they keep doing it.
It's constant. It's a formula that doesn't. It's a formula that doesn't really. It doesn't really seem like it falters. It's because the bosses have been getting better over the course of the years. That's just my opinion. Yeah.
That's one thing I thought was going to take a hit, because I was just like, wow, since it's in 3D, they're probably just going to make all the bosses big, especially after seeing Gormondo. Because I was just like, oh well, every boss is going to be like Gormondo. It's just going to be like a big guy, and of course they make them bigger so they're easier to hit. But then I was surprised when a lot of the bosses are like, it feels like there's a nice ratio of just like bosses that are really huge and then bosses that are just like, I mean, every person's gonna be bigger than Kirby because Kirby's just like, I'm a ball. Yeah. But like a lot of them are sort of just like, you know, okay, this is manageable. Even like Meta Knight, because he's like around the same size as Kirby and he still feels, you know, pretty easy to hit. And I mean, of course, that's because of how the game was built. But I mean, I was pleasantly surprised at like how everything worked in the 3D space.
Most definitely. Man, it's funny because like this game came right after like Elden Ring, and you know, Elden Ring, great game, an amazing game that people rave about. But like when I play Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I'm like, this game is just as amazing. It's just as amazing in its own right. It kind of just shows that like you don't necessarily need like a huge triple A open world game just to hit all the right notes. You gotta like there's ways to make a game like hit every mark without it being the next big thing. Because don't get me wrong, while it's a big leap for Kirby, I don't think the game itself is a huge thing. It's not a monumental game. It's not a game. It's not rewriting the formula in the gaming industry or not something. But it's still it still hits hard like a game like Elden Ring does to me. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. And it doesn't really need to. It's like, don't fix what isn't broken. Even if it stays within that formula, I think that it does it so well that it's just like everybody kind of recognizes that, And it's to the point where this game is selling so well. I guess to put into perspective how good it's doing, it has been top of the charts for like weeks now. And it's getting to the point where it is probably going to become the best-selling Kirby game. And I think the reason that's so monumental is because nothing has beaten the first Kirby game in terms of sales.
Really?
Kirby's Dream Land is still the best-selling Kirby game. It was on the Game Boy, and I think it sold 5 million units. And this game is approaching that. I think Star Allies was like second. I think it sold like 2 or 3 million, and this is approaching, I think, Star Allies right now, and it's probably going to pass it soon. So it's doing really well, and I hope it continues to, because honestly, the way I look at it is every time Hal makes a Kirby game, it feels like it's a celebration of itself. Whereas it almost feels like the people who make it are just as big of a fans of Kirby as we are. And they treat it with a lot of respect. And
they don't want to see Kirby get hurt.
Yeah, it's like they genuinely care about Kirby. It's like, it was funny reading an interview. They were just like, Nintendo kept begging them to make the game harder because at some point, I guess it was a little easier, and they were just like, well, we're all the enemies, and then they're just like, we don't like the thought of having all these enemies swarming Kirby. And I was just like, I don't know, something about that was just kind of like, it was cute.
They're just like, don't hurt my son.
Yeah. So I do love that about Hal, and I wish more companies kind of did that. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, Kirby definitely, it's great.
Speaking of what makes Kirby great, you want to know why people talk about Kirby so much? It's because of the lore. I'll be your homework, AJ.
I did brush up on like Kirby lore. While I do understand I did like sit down and like listen to a lot of the lore. I'm not gonna act like I know everything. I know like a lot of things that like regarding dark matter and stuff like that. But that's like the most. Like I know like the general plots of most of the games, but like y'all can take it away with this one.
Dante, you want me to start since
you haven't said much yet, so you might as well.
All right, here we go. Like, strap in, ladies and gentlemen, because I have the kickest brain. All right, we're gonna start from the beginning because apparently that's one of the newest things we actually learned about it. So long time ago, back in the time when time wasn't even a thing, there were a successful society of people called the Ancients. And there were two different variants of these Ancients that was ruling society and making them do prosperous things. There was the science faction and then the magic faction.
Yes.
One day, there was some kind of perverse evil walking around the galaxy, destroying a bunch of gobbledygook. That thing was Voitermina. So one day they were just like, we need Voitermina destroyed because
that wasn't Voitermina.
Some form of evil. There was some.
It was IDF-86.
Okay, no, not that. Was it? What was? It was not that. We're gonna.
No, it was that.
Was it?
Yeah,
was it the four heroes that sealed away IDF-86?
Oh, okay, never mind.
No,
No, not that. I thought you were talking about. You said it was rampaging the planet, and I was like,
No. I was like rampaging the galaxy, and it was
Kirby
oh,
lore,
okay.
ladies and gentlemen. Kirby lore.
some form of void terminal, whether it was actually void terminal or not, was destroying the galaxy. Four warriors from a different faction that was a different part of the galaxy. Hey, we can take care of it. We'll beat them. Beat the dog show. So they take care of them, right? And this kind of worries the people of the ancients of the planet. So they're just like, hey man, we need to do something about these guys because they're kind of strong, even though they declared loyalty to us and they're kind of good. We need to do something about it. And so the magic ancients are just like, oh, don't worry, we got you. And they seal away the four heroes that destroyed Void Terminal. So in their heads, the science agents were just like, hey, yo, these people beat Void Terminal. And our people, the what you call the wizards, sealed away these people, which means that the wizards are stronger than both of them put combined together. So they thought of it was a good idea to banish them out of their planet and banish them across the galaxy. So that's what they did. They banished them. Conte, that's exactly what Highness said. Highness is a part of the ancients. I did my research. Die. Anyways, so they got banished, right? Exiled from their home planet and exiled away. Then IDF-86 comes to the planet and starts just rampaging all kinds of garbage. And somehow, IDF-86 is the ultimate life form. Shadow the Hedgehog comes down and just starts just blowing up stuff. And for some reason, I don't know how successful the technology was, but they somehow found a way to capture it.
You know that makes me really mad, right? I don't mean to interrupt. No, but it's just like this thing was the ultimate life form, and then you're in the elevator and you hear the lady talking about it, and she's just like, "But we were able to subdue it and capture it." And then my first thought was, "How?
How?
It's just like, how did you do that?
How did Karen? How did you capture God?
Yeah, it's like what technology is that? We captured the alien and we studied it, and it's like, how did you do that? It's like, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so the science agents found a way to use it to embed it to their technology, and this means that IDF-86 is responsible for the Star Rod, the technology, the teleportation technology, which is the Lore Star Cutter, the Crown, a bunch of other stuff realistically that could be made by the science agents.
The Clockwork Stars.
The Clockwork Stars.
Yeah,
Clockwork Stars.
All the plot MacGuffins.
Yeah,
probably the Triple Star, probably.
Yeah,
Like,
and also Ripple Star too. That crystal thing.
Like
that
the crystal
also
shards.
The crystal thing in Kirby 64.
I think that's probably different. I don't know about all that.
Okay.
That's the
fairies. Are you gonna listen?
We're listening.
Every single time in Kirby 64, when they were traveling to different planets, what shape was the portal to the different planet? It was a star. What shape allows people to travel through different dimensions? Star. Yeah, you didn't think about that, did you?
No.
Bitch. So yeah. Aside from that, die. I was smart. They decided to, and so anyways, they made a bunch of technology advancements, and then for some reason they're like, yeah, I'm bored. So they decided to flee. Well, what apparently what Leongar says, or Leon says. He's like, yeah, the people of this planet got bored and went and fled to Dreamland, which is Dreamland, planet Popstar, which is probably the location of the galaxy that they're noticed for.
I think that's just the planet. Like, it's just, I think Dreamland is on the planet. But, yeah.
I think Dreamland is on the planet. Yeah, you're right. It is Dreamland. So like they first the land of dreams, just like Popstar, and so they go to Popstar and they leave the majority of the animals there. Okay, and then fast forward, because now it just doesn't. Now that shit doesn't matter. That's just the base of everything. The magic ancients are pissed, so they're gonna be like, they're not happy, and they're like, yeah, I don't care anymore. I want God to come down and kill us all, and then they create a death cult. That's exactly what happened. While that's conjuring around, let's skip forward a little bit to planet Popstar. The people definitely settled down there. Whoever knows who knows exactly what the people of Planet Popstar is. There was also different factions in that time period. That was a different part of different corporations. I can't remember the three, but there were three different corporations that were huge factions that helped support the planet, the Forgotten Land planet, through different kinds of like what was it, electricity, forms of entertainment, and housing, which is just like the planetary bulk brokers, which is like the Holtman Corporation.
Wait,
So
have you heard about? Because there's some very unhinged theories about that, and yeah, you just said one of them. I've heard people say that they think that Haltman's people descended from that planet, which is really, really crazy to think about because it would make sense though, because like that was what Planet Robobot was all about, was
Yeah.
all the technology and stuff. So it's just like, I guess if they were as technologically advanced as, let's say, Haltman's company, maybe they could have subdued IDF 86, but it's just like, what did they use Stardream to do it, or is it like it's some really weird stuff that you really got to think about there.
well, yeah, but they had to figure out how to capture them first, and then they had to create Stardream and also the Gulf.
Yeah, because my original theory is that maybe they were humans because the only human in the whole series is Adeline from Kirby 64,
Hmm.
and I did not know where she came from, and I was like, that's the only thing that could explain it is, maybe she like was just a remnant or something, but apparently Adeline was just visiting the planet in Dreamland 3 and then just got taken over by dark matter. Like she just went to Popstar to study art and then she got sucked into like a big mess or whatever. So apparently she's not from Popstar at all. So I guess that theory got debunked. So, and I still don't know where she comes from, but she's just like the only human that exists.
Yeah,
But
Shivatar is our all our planet, and is assumed that Haltman Corporation took over Earth and kind of made life kind of obsolete and not exist anymore. So Shiverstar is our Earth, but that's not where the ancients are from. That was the original theory as well, but that got debunked as well. Let's talk about Kirby. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Kirby because that's the important character.
Hey,
So,
my favorite pink puffball.
Regardless of whether we like to believe it or not, how he came to Popstar is unknown. But
on the Spring Breeze.
yeah, from a spring breeze. But let's go back in time. So that thing, that giant beast that they seal away, Void Termina, whenever it comes to a certain category, catacomb of emotions, whether it's positive, negative, greed, any form of emotions, it takes on a physical form of whatever it's been around that time period. And so, like, say for instance, they're just like, yeah, I'm evil, yeah, I hate everything, yeah, I wanna kill, yeah, smash. Void Termina passed that and create a physical form of that. So then Void Termina just bounced around in space, felt some positive, very cute, innocent, positive vibes, and boop, comes out Kirby. Kirby is a descendant of basically all creation, almost all creation. Actually, yeah, all creation. How he came to Planet Popstar is unknown. It just says he just comes on a spring breeze. The evil King DDD, that's me. He's a fat fucking disgusting ass smelling. Imagine being a king, right? And you steal all the food, all of it, all of your subjects. They're bitching and shit. They're like, you're a terrible king. You're like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm stealing all the food, and I'm stealing all the ways for her to reproduce food. King DDD stole all the food in Dreamland and hoarded it for himself and his fucking subjects. And then also he broke some kind of magical star pieces on the planet that was allowed for it to regenerate food for crops to grow and all the stuff like that. Which is
Wow.
weapons that you have to actually like get to restore peace to the world, to restore peace to the planet. King DD broke that and scattered it across the world and had his generals hold on to it. He was like, yeah, try worshiping me now. And then everyone was just like, damn, I'm starving. We got to pay tribute to the king. And Kirby was like, I got the hunger. And Kirby beat the dog shit out of King DDD. and then Dreamland, and then like Dreamland, Adventures of Dreamland, King DDD, he basically was just like being a self-proclaimed king, getting the shit pushed in by some idiot from some bumpkin. He had never seen him Kirby before in his life. He's pissed, but he somehow figures out that for some reason, Nightmare is starting to conjure up some demon that's inside the Fountain of Dreams and inside the Targeted Star Rod that allows the people of Dreamland to have dreams and beautiful dreams if they so choose to. King Dedede finds out that Nightmare is conjuring up a way to try to take over the universe, and King Dedede decides to smash the Star Rod and scatter it across the world. And Kirby's like, I can't sleep because I need to sleep with dreams. That is the whole reason why Kirby sleeps, is because he likes his dreams. And everyone else on Popstar is the same way. Some people, they're getting mad insomnia, so they're pissed. And they're like, all right, okay, we need to figure out what's going on. Kirby, can you go to the Fountain of Dreams and figure out what the hell's going on? I got you, dude. So Kirby goes to the Fountain of Dreams, and guess who's there? Fat, fucking, disgusting, ass-smelling King Dedede is bathing in the Fountain of... Sacred place, dude. Imagine, right? Imagine, like, imagine, right, City Hall, right? What's the most sacred place in the statue of Abraham Lincoln, right? Imagine this universe statue of Abraham Lincoln, and I'm swimming in the pool, right? Taking a nice big bubble bath in the pool. And Kirby was like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, oh, shit, I'm not telling you anything. And so Kirby goes, he fights all of his generals, he restores the Star Rod, King Dedede tries to stop him, and then out comes a Nightmare. And, yeah. Kirby finds out that King Dedede was actually trying to stop something by suppressing it, but instead they decide to fight it off head on. Kirby saves the world, everybody gets to sleep again, and then we get to the Dark Matter trilogy, which is Dreamland 2, 3, and Crystal Stars. Conte, you want to talk about the evil?
Well, it's kind of not to say that it's irrelevant, because I mean I do love this game a lot, but I think that the Dark Matter trilogy isn't as connected to, let's say, like Forgotten Land as you know, like Dreamland 1 in particular is, I feel like aside from that and Return to Dreamland are close to Forgotten Land, because like you said, the events of Kirby's Dreamland happened not because, well, no, it is because of everybody teleporting and going all the way to Popstar, because even in the incident when they say that Elfland was separated from you know, Elphilus, they say it happens 30 years ago, and it's Kirby's 30th anniversary this year. And so it sort of connects the two. It's just like, okay, everybody went to this random planet somewhere off in space, and then all this other stuff happens, and then 30 years later, it all comes to a conclusion where, you know, Kirby finds Elfland, the Beast Pack starts messing stuff up, and then the events of Forgotten Land happen. And so I thought that was a really nice touch, because I was like, wait, 30 years? And I realized, I was just like, oh, it's the anniversary this year. And so I thought that was really cool. But that and Return to Dreamland 2, I mean, another really important game in the series, just because of the fact that you have the teleportation technology that they used after they studied Elphilus. And of course, you got Magalore, who he uses a lot of the same moves that Elphilus does, because there's a lot of moves where, you know, Magalore will shoot a beam into, like, you know, a portal, and then it'll go everywhere around. There's just like a whole bunch of moves that sort of reference each other. Kirby bosses do that all the time, but it definitely connects in such a way. And that's the thing that I love about Kirby, is like the lore is also kind of represented through gameplay as well, and you sort of kind of got to put all the pieces together. Like none of it is actually told to you. Like pretty much everything that Josh said could be considered like conjecture, and somebody could have like a different theory. Of course, it's just like whatever fans put together, and I think that's sort of like the beauty of it. It's like it doesn't outright tell you that this is what happened. It's just like, oh, you can just sort of have some fun with it.
You put the pieces together yourself. That's why I was just like, that's why I was just like, it could, like, the crystal could be made by ancient technology because it allows the people to travel through star-shaped portals. It could be, and it's something that's coveted on their planet, and they keep it away from dark matter for some reason so that the people don't escape. Dark matter wants that thing really badly. He needs it. He wants to eat it.
Yeah, and I think at this point it's all could but confirm that, like, you know, Magalore is like a descendant of like the mage faction of the ancients for sure. And then my unhinged theory is that the Waddle Dees maybe weren't Waddle Dees at first. They became Waddle Dees when they like went to Popstar, is basically what I think. But yeah, I mean the only other like thing is, I mean we've been spoiling everything already, but Morpho Knight is back, and he's canon, which is really crazy to me because we've had Galactonite in so many Kirby games at this point.
Oh, shut up!
He was always like No, he was always like the de facto like, oh, secret boss of the arena. I wonder who it's gonna be, and it's just Galactonite every single time. And then Star Allies, you see Galactonite. He's in the crystal. He descends and he breaks out, and then a butterfly just comes and lands on his lance, and then he just changes into Morphonite. And then I feel like every Kirby fan just lost their collective shit when that happened, because it's just like, well, who is this? And then he comes back in Forgotten Land, but he's in the actual story, and it's just like, oh, he's canon this time, and it's like, he's the not the true final boss, but I guess like the final boss of the post game. It's just like we all kind of knew it was gonna happen, but I still feel like most people just were really really surprised by the fact that
I was surprised by that shit. What the fuck? Like, I understand realistically. Like, okay, the whole reason why I was very surprised that it's canon now is because Morpholite, alongside with Galactonite, has always been like more so just like an extras bosses kind of thing. And then you learn that Morpholite's design was the original design for Meta Knight.
It's not.
Like, it's not.
No, that's it's not a mistranslation, but it was in a book, and he was in the Meta Knight section, and the book is in Japanese. So I think what a lot of people thought was that was supposed to be a better design for Meta Knight, but it wasn't. He was supposed to be a new knight for, I think, the GameCube, one of the GameCube Kirby games that got canceled. I think it was the 2D one that we see footage of all the time.
So that would be sick. That would be sick, actually. That would be actually sick, man. I'm losing my mind. I'm throwing up everywhere because I'm thinking about the roach, the the beetle.
Yeah. So he was supposed to be brand new to start, but I think people just got that mixed up with the fact that he was placed in the Meta Knight section, and I hear that all the time, especially since I think Project M is another like weirdly like. I don't know, like, since it made him a skin, and I think that was, like, one of the things they said in Project M, was just like, oh, this is a beta Meta Knight skin, when it's actually not. But, yeah. I just think that's, like, one of the more common misconceptions.
Hey, regardless, I still think it was BS because he was floating around for a long period of time between, like, being a...
Oh, yeah, every Kirby game has a butterfly.
I did know...
It made it so funny just looking back at like all of the Kirby games, and you see the openings, and then butterflies are flying around. You're just like, he's been there the whole time. It's like it's like you see the Android arc, and then Cell's like, I've been here the whole time, and you see Goku fighting Piccolo and everything. It's like that's what Morpho Knight was doing. He's just watching.
Yeah, he was watching the entire time. And the crazy thing is about it, it's like you see him in the beginning and the end of the game, and it's mostly just like after the end of the game, like Kirby's about to die, and like flash a light, and then they're back on the planet, and then the butterfly lands on him. It's like, damn it, you're not dead. Fuck. Like, I'm trying to absorb your soul, dude. Like, it's ridiculous. But to make it really kind of condensed and shorter, with like, because the lore is like it's a lot longer too. The Dark Matter trilogy, Evil Man, based off of like, oh, not Evil Man, Evil Source of Energy, possesses people, especially King Deity, for those that have any kind of malice in their heart, for whatever fucking reason. That's also like a part of Void Termina. That was kind of the cutesy thing. Quante was actually making a very good point too about like saying that like you could piece together your own lore for the for like characters or enemies being quote unquote related descendants or anything else like that. That makes sense. Let's fast forward to the really interesting one. Robobot comes out, and there's also like the Amazing Mirror, the whole stick with the Amazing Mirror, and how Tyranza gave the Amazing Mirror to Cytonia, transformed her into a different beast, and warped her personality, and changed her into a bee, and then she died. And then we got Robobot. That just so happened.
No, I mean, that did happen.
Like, Kirby just killed somebody.
Yeah, Kirby.
He does all the time, right? But it's just so funny. Like, so many games are just like, yeah, the hero can't kill anybody, and then you just got Kirby, and he just obliterates Sectonia.
Yeah. He put the laser in here, and then shot out here.
Like, she's actually just straight up dead, and then eternal depression. He's just like, you killed my girlfriend.
And then there's another sad one where it's like Haltman. Haltman goes into he's so insane. Haltman goes into such the biggest form of regret ever. with a warp incident accident happening that separates him from his daughter, and people assume that she died. And so to fill in the hole of his daughter being dead, he wants to maximize his profits to the maximilian by taking over other planets as quickly as possible, locating enough energy to create Dreamstar and wish for his daughter back. But unfortunately, you fucked up and you tried to use the machine for whatever the no purposes it is, and the machine backfires. Takes your
Technically,
body.
she kind of killed him.
She did kill him though. No,
Yeah.
She took the helmet off his head, and then
Yeah.
it malfunctioned. And she was just like, "Oh no, I just wanted a piece of the pie too." And then his soul gets sucked into the robot. And then if you fight the true arena final boss, you can hear him scream every time you hit the boss.
Yeah.
Because he's connected to the robot, so you can hear it like. It's very faint, but you can hear it. Same thing, like they do that kind of thing all the time, even in Star Allies. Like every time you hit Void Termina, you can hear Kirby screams because that's supposed to be like where Kirby comes from. So like when you damage the boss, you can hear him, and I just think it's funny. And then there's like a thing where you can get sucked into the boss, and it makes the same noise that Kirby makes when he's like sucking stuff in. So. I don't know. There's always like some sort of
you get put in the in here dimension. You get put in the in here dimension. Also, wanted to talk about something too, real quick about like ultimate life form status for IDF 86, and then I'll be done. The ultimate life form thing could basically be Kirby on 100%, because you gotta listen, okay? When Alphen became perfect the second time in the secret in the arena, which is actually like the final arena, which is actually canon now, and you defeat the first form and turns into that ball, right? Which is everything is just like, oh, it's a ball, right? And they put you, and then like you get like the beginning of the phase is just like, hey, look, I can shoot lasers, I can shoot the cutter ability, I can put you in the in here dimension and blow up, I can bounce around like Drossia and like splash onto the screen, just like it did from Drossia, or like any other and Void Termina did it too.
They all take from Drossia. They all become balls.
They all become balls. Same thing with like Zero. Zero's also a ball, shoots laser and all that stuff like that. And then you think about Marx's wish, right? Marx says he wants to rule Popstar. And so the thing grants its wish, and he turns into that monster, right?
Yeah.
Right? What does Marx do as his attacks? He's got the cutter ability. He's got the out here laser. He got the in here dimension.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
Yeah, remember?
That's true.
And then what's his name? In Magalor's boss fight, right? He drops like the little little portals, and roots come out, right? Like actual roots.
Like Marx.
Yeah, and Marx has roots too that comes up with Roses in the soul battle too. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I was like, oh, dude, damn.
Yeah, it's so weird that it all ties together, and it doesn't even really take that much if you really think about it. But it all sort of seems like they kind of carefully consider what they're gonna put in the fight. And I don't even. It's so funny because it's just like, I think anybody else, like if you're not a Kirby fan, you'd just be like, why do they keep reusing this content? It's just like, why do all these bosses have the same moves? But a Kirby fan will see that, and then they start going mental. And they're just like, oh, that's the move that this boss used from like six games ago. And it's like they just hyper focus and pay attention to like every single little detail that the games have to offer. And I think that's the funniest thing about Kirby fans. It's like you probably think, oh, why are you hyper fixating on this little detail? And then they make it like a whole game out of it, and it's like, all right.
The layout charts on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because hearing this lore, mind you, I'm still lost. I get what I get a lot more of what you guys said because I did study up beforehand, but there's still a lot of lore that I need to brush up on. It's like Kingdom Hearts level of complicated. And Kingdom Hearts is no, it's definitely trust, and it's like, but it's so interesting. It's one of those things where it's just like the lore can get very deep. The lore can get very deep, but the games do stand. The games do stand alone. They each have their own story, and like the interconnectedness, you definitely have to like play a lot of the games and connect it like little by little. But I think that like that makes Kirby. I think that makes like it's weird because that's like a weird skill for Kirby. Like Kirby, you can still enjoy the game and not know a goddamn thing about the lore. Not know a goddamn thing about the lore. The game itself can stand alone, and you don't necessarily have to know about like you don't need to know about Void Termina to understand what's going on in Forgotten Land. But it adds so much more to the game once you do. You know, I think that's that's a skill for games that are interconnected to have. You know, Kingdom Hearts, unfortunately, as much as I love those games, I hate the fact that you have to, like, it's very hard to play a Kingdom Hearts game far into the franchise, far into, like, a more recent Kingdom Hearts game, and, like, not be confused. Because you have things connect from, like, the side games and then, like, the earliest games. It's like, it's not good for new players. But, like, Kirby the Forgotten Land, it has a story. I get the whole thing with F86, but the deeper aspects of that's like, if I want to learn more about that, then I can, but I'm not required to know that to enjoy the game, and that's great.
Most of it's told through gameplay too. It's like, of course, there's gonna be cutscenes, and a lot of the games are 2D, so it's like it's not that many cutscenes, but a lot of what people piece together and stuff is just through like gameplay. That's what we were talking about earlier with Forgotten Land and its set pieces. It's like all of that is just in the game. Like nobody's telling it to you. You're seeing it. You're absorbing it, and I just think that's what makes it great. Like if I was to ever make my own game or like do it successfully, I would take that model of just like making the world sort of as recognizable as it can possibly be, or putting as much personality into it as it could have. Like I think that's Kirby's biggest strength as a franchise, and why people like it as much as they do.
Most definitely. Now, before we close out, I did want to ask, like, this game was great. I think this game was great, and I think this game really sets a standard for what I think future Kirby games are going to be. For you two specifically, because I'm not too sure. I need to learn more about Kirby lore. But for you two, I want to know, for the next Kirby game that they do, what do they need to do to improve on what's already great? How do they improve on what we have with Forgotten Land?
That's a very difficult question because it's not to say that it's perfected already, but it's pretty dang close. Like for this to be their first quote unquote 3D Kirby game, it's not, but it's just like 3D Kirby adventure in the same vein of the other games. I think I'm not gonna say it's already as good as it could be, but just like it's great. Like I feel like what they could do is experiment with other formulas because that's what they're good at anyway. Is experimentation, but also still making sure that the games are at least quality and not just dog doo doo. So I think that for the next game, if they really wanted to, they could do something a little bit more on like a grander scale, because this game isn't safe by any means, because of course they're still testing the waters for the 3D and trying to see how it works. But I think that they could go bigger next time instead of sort of sticking to this formula. But if they were to do this formula again, I wouldn't be mad, like not at all, because it's great. But I sort of like what 3D World did with Bowser's Fury, where it sort of had that more open approach to it, but it still played fundamentally like 3D World at the same time. I think that Kirby could do that and also still work just fine. They could just have like some sort of MacGuffin that you could just put everywhere, have these I don't know, like condensed areas that sort of play like their own individual level, because that's kind of how Forgotten Land is. It's like the landscape is sort of built naturally in a sense that like you don't really have the whole video gaming like floaty platforms everywhere, but it's like a very natural construction of like how things would be in real life. and I think that they could do that in a sort of Bowser's Fury type thing if they really wanted to. And so, yeah, I mean, he had a very, very good transition to 3D, unlike Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay, you can stop talking about that. Anyways, I think that the game is really good. I really like it a lot. But one thing that most Kirby games do in general, whether it comes to their side content, something that's it's kind of lacking is their side content. And that's something that's like it's crazy for me to say out loud. What I mean by side content, it's like, what do you mean, BGT? There's hella collectibles for you to collect. There you can be a worker at a Starbucks. You can play Kirby Tilt and Tumble. What's wrong with you? Are you stupid? And it's not like that. That's what I mean by it. I mean that, like, usually, right, in most Kirby games, there is a option for you to play as another character. And even though you can play as Bandana D in single player mode, there is no way for you to play him as him in single player, and that's a missed opportunity. You could play the game through Bandana D and somewhat of a kind of Bandana D nightmare mode where he gets to run through all the levels in one sitting with unique abilities and stuff like that, like it is in Metal Nightmare mode and Superstar Allies, or you get to play as King Dedede in 3D. Could you imagine playing as King Dedede in 3D? I would be losing my shit. But
yeah, I mean they've done those before.
Yeah,
Well, those are like time trial modes. So you have like Meta Nightmare in like what Nightmare in Dreamland, Superstar Ultra, and then Planet Robobot, and then like you said, Triple Deluxe has the DDD time trial. But I think that Bandana D would have been perfect for this game because, I mean, it could have just been about him going to save his kin. His is like, yeah, just gonna go save all the Waddle Dees. Gonna save DDD. It would have been perfect, but I mean, I'm not losing any sleep over the fact that it's not there, but I definitely think it would have been a nice addition on top of everything else that was there.
Yeah, I would like to see. I would like to see that in the future. Other than that, I mean, like, I don't think they're really gonna need to change much of the formula, as I've been saying before, because it's just something that it's a knockout every single time. But if it was up to me, though, if there was anything that, like, if the game magically got DLC, right? Which I don't think it will, but if it magically got DLC, it would be like something like a time trial mode, at playing against Bandana D, or even like another character that you could play as in general, like I don't know, King Dedede in general. But I don't think it's gonna happen. But in the future, though, something like that, another mode for you to play as other characters, or the time trial mode in general, which is just like I like that a lot because like in another dimension, which is the side content for the game or the post game, is basically just like each and every single world condensed into one level, and it's fairly lengthy and long, and so like you could make that into a time trial. I'm pretty sure that that's something that's already been tossed around in the thing and the concept of the games, which has already been like previously. But that's just one of the few things that just like that I felt like I was just like, oh, I thought to play as Bandana D and do that. Because Star Allies, like I said, very lackluster game when it comes to gameplay, but that guest Star Allies mode is hella fun.
Well, the Another Dimension DLC was really good too, but I think the only thing stopping them from, let's say, if they did do a Bandana D time trial thing, is the Mouthful mode. But I think the only way they could have circumvented that is literally making Bandana D operate all of the equipment. So it's like make him get into the car and drive the car, or make him operate the scissor lift or something. And I guess I don't know, like give him a water hose for the water balloon Kirby or whatever.
Give him a water hose. He uses his staff to pop open the little spherical thing. Like he like jimmies it up.
Yeah. Or another thing, and I'm just taking this randomly from the Rivals of Ether character Bandana D that they like. It's in the workshop, but they like made that character have different abilities in his spear. So I guess that could have been like a way for you to use like certain like copy abilities for puzzles. If they really wanted to do that, they could just make him have like a fire spear or what have you. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that was probably one of the things that would have kept them from really going through with a mode like that, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that you can do in that game is stuff that only can do.
Exactly. That is true, but think about it. You already painted the picture for me. We call it Bandana D becomes a blue collar worker. There we go. We got it. We got
I
it.
mean, it's true.
He did become a blue collar worker, though.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But all right, I think we've gone through some lore today, some Kirby lore. I definitely got to look more into the lore myself. I definitely got to look more into the older games because this game has definitely like invigorated my passion for Kirby, and I really want to go back. I gotta go back. But thank you guys for tuning in to the stream. To the stream. I've been streaming too much. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of the podcast. Lord Master 95, King Kawante. Where the fuck can they find you if they want to follow anything that's all about you, your Kirby thoughts, your retro games, your everything that's just Kawante?
You can find me on the Elon Musk Twitter.com, LoreMaster95 or at LoreMaster95, where you might occasionally see me just tweet the word Kirby, and that's it.
Twitter.com/LoreMaster95. Follow him. It's LoreMaster without the E. LOR. Don't forget it.
It's Kirby related.
And Dr. Black Guy Gamer, Kendall. Where can they find you if they need to know everything that is the Black Guy Gamer?
You can follow me on Twitter at Dr. Black Guy Gamer, where I talk about a bunch of gobbledygook. I also I also upload on YouTube at the Black Guy Gamer, and also you can check out my Twitch channel, the Black Guy Gamer, as well. I can start streaming Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
All right. Yes, that's right. Follow my man, Dr. Black Guy Gamer. Find him on YouTube. Find him on Twitter.com. Show that man some love. And for me, as always, you can find me on Twitter.com/ChocoTacoFGC. You can find me on Twitch, Twitch.tv/ChocoTacoFGC. I've taken a little bit of a break from streams. Just had to, I've been focusing on a lot of tournaments, but I haven't forgotten about it, and I'll be resuming streams back once I get back from Low Tide City, which I'm gonna be flying out this week. So looking forward to that. Every episode of the Gamers Grind podcast does get posted on the YouTube channel. We do have some waiting out there, but those episodes do get uploaded on the YouTube channel, Choco Taco FGC. We do also, and I am posting clips and highlights of my stream, of the Gamers Grind podcast, and everything on TikTok, TikTok.com/Choco Taco FGC. We're everywhere. I had to plug. I know you're disgusted. I see that disgusted look from Kawante. Yeah, that's right. The times are changing, and we gotta change with the times, baby. So that's right. Follow us on TikTok too, baby. Yes, sir.
They can find my TikTok.
It's okay. Well, thank you guys again for all tuning in. Everybody, you have a wonderful rest of your nights, and we will see you guys again when the grind continues. Have a good one. Don't look at me like that.